My name is Daniel, and this is the story of how the woman I once believed was my soulmate, my wife, humiliated me in front of strangers, betrayed me in ways I never imagined, and how karma eventually hit her harder than I ever could have planned. You know, when you hear people talk about betrayal and heartbreak, you think of it as something that happens in movies, or maybe to someone else. You never imagine yourself living through the kind of broken marriage drama that you only read about in real-life cheating stories online. But I did. And I'm here to tell it all, because sometimes sharing your pain is the only way to heal, and maybe, just maybe, someone out there listening will learn from my scars. Before I dive into what happened, let me paint you a picture of our life before everything fell apart. I met Emily, my wife, in college. She wasn't just beautiful, she was magnetic. The kind of woman who walked into a room and made everyone else fade into the background. Her smile lit up spaces, her laugh could silence noise, and her presence was commanding yet comforting. We dated for 3 years, and I thought I knew her inside out. She was supportive of my career, she was ambitious in her own right, and she came from a warm family that I quickly grew close to. Our love story felt like one of those romantic fairy tales, two people defying odds, holding hands through life's challenges, and building dreams together. At least that's what I thought. Our marriage started strong. We bought a house in the suburbs, a little 2-story with a white fence and a garden Emily insisted on planting roses in. We were the couple people looked at and said, "They're perfect together." At family gatherings, friends would pull me aside and say, "You're lucky, man. Emily's one of a kind." And I believed it. But cracks have a way of forming in the strongest looking walls. And the first one appeared about 3 years into our marriage. It was subtle at first. Emily became distant. The little routines that made our relationship special started slipping. She stopped waiting up for me when I worked late. She no longer asked about my day with the same sparkle in her eyes. The laughter we shared during simple dinners turned into silent meals, interrupted only by the occasional buzz of her phone. At first, I dismissed it. We all go through phases, right? Work stress, personal space, mood swings, it's part of marriage. I convinced myself not to overthink. But then came the humiliation. It happened at a party, a work event I had invited Emily to. It was one of those formal evenings where my colleagues brought their spouses, and I wanted to show her off, to share my world with the woman I loved. Emily looked stunning that night, black dress, heels, and her hair cascading in waves. For a moment, I forgot the distance between us. I thought, maybe this is the night things start getting better. Maybe we'll laugh again, dance again. But as the evening unfolded, Emily grew more and more dismissive. She barely held my hand. She rolled her eyes when I introduced her to colleagues. And then, in the middle of a conversation with a group of strangers, she laughed and said, "Daniel? Oh, he's harmless. I mean, look at him. He's too boring to ever cause trouble." The group laughed. Everyone thought it was a harmless joke. But for me, it was a dagger to the heart. My wife, my partner, had just humiliated me in front of strangers. I smiled weakly, pretending it didn't matter, but inside I was crumbling. That night, as we drove home, the silence was deafening. I wanted to confront her, to ask why she said that, but the words stuck in my throat. She didn't even apologize. She just scrolled through her phone, as if I wasn't even there. And that was the moment I knew something was deeply wrong. Over the next few weeks, I started noticing the signs. The late night. Girls' nights. That didn't add up. The hushed phone calls she'd take in another room. The sudden interest in going to the gym, buying new clothes, and wearing perfume even when she wasn't meeting me. I'm not proud of this, but suspicion turned me into someone I never thought I'd become. I started checking her phone when she was in the shower. I memorized the lock screen password. I scrolled through her messages, her emails, even her social media. At first, nothing. She was careful, too careful. But eventually I found something. A message from a number saved simply as Chris. It wasn't explicit, but it was enough to make my stomach churn. Last night was amazing. Can't stop thinking about you. My hands shook as I read it. My wife. The woman I vowed to spend forever with. She was having secret conversations, maybe more, with someone else. But I didn't confront her right away. I wanted to be sure. I wanted proof. Because the thing about betrayal is, it makes you question your own sanity. Maybe I was overreacting? Maybe it was innocent. So I started watching more closely. One night, Emily said she was going to dinner with her friend Sarah. I knew Sarah, I had her number. So when Emily left, I called Sarah, just casually asking if she and Emily were enjoying their evening. Sarah was confused. Dinner? I haven't seen Emily in weeks. My chest tightened. My wife was lying to me. I drove. I didn't even know where I was going, but my gut pulled me toward the city. And that's when I saw her car, parked outside a fancy restaurant. I waited. My hands gripping the steering wheel so tightly they ached. And then I saw her. Emily. Walking out of the restaurant, her hand intertwined with a tall man in a suit. She was laughing, smiling in a way I hadn't seen in months. A smile she no longer gave me. I felt like the world stopped spinning. My breath caught in my throat. That was the moment my marriage shattered. But here's the thing, I didn't confront her then. I couldn't. I drove home, my mind spiraling, my heart in pieces. And as I sat alone in our house, I asked myself the question many of you probably would: do I forgive, or do I plan revenge on a cheating spouse? If you're still listening, don't forget to like this video. And tell me in the comments, what would you do if you were in my place? Because what I did next changed everything. That night after I saw Emily holding another man's hand, I barely slept. My mind was a storm, rage, disbelief, heartbreak all crashing into one another. I stared at the ceiling until the sun came up, wondering how the woman I loved could betray me like that. When Emily came home the next morning, she acted normal. She kissed me on the cheek, asked if I'd had breakfast, and hummed while making coffee, as if nothing had happened. Watching her so calm, so casual, almost drove me insane. I knew I couldn't confront her without more proof. She'd deny it, twist it, make me look crazy. That's what cheaters do, they gaslight you, make you second-guess what you know in your heart. So I decided I'd become smarter. Patient. Over the next few weeks, I collected pieces of the puzzle. Her phone habits got stranger, always face down, always on silent. She started showering immediately after coming home, like she needed to wash someone else's scent off her. And then there were the late-night text notifications lighting up her screen with just a first name, Chris. One night, while she was asleep, I finally unlocked her phone. And this time, I hit gold. Last night was incredible. I wish you didn't have to sneak out. I can't stop thinking about your laugh, your lips. When are you going to tell him the truth? My stomach turned. She wasn't just flirting. She was in a full-blown affair. I saved the messages, took screenshots, emailed them to myself. My hands were shaking, but my resolve hardened. This wasn't paranoia anymore. This was betrayal in black and white. The next day at work, I couldn't focus. Every email, every meeting felt pointless compared to the storm inside me. My coworkers noticed my distraction, but I just brushed it off. Inside, I was planning. That evening, I confronted Emily for the first time. She was on the couch, scrolling through her phone. I sat across from her and asked, "Emily, are you cheating on me?" Her head snapped up, eyes wide, but then she laughed. Actually laughed. Cheating? Daniel, come on. Are you serious? I stared at her. I saw you. At the restaurant. With him. Her face drained of color for just a second, but she recovered quickly. That was a work dinner. He's just a friend. My jaw clenched. Friends don't send texts like I can't stop thinking about your lips. For a moment, silence filled the room. Her mask cracked, but then she snapped back. So you went through my phone? That's pathetic, Daniel. You don't trust me, and now you're spying on me? And just like that, she flipped the script. Suddenly I was the bad guy for invading her privacy, not her for betraying our vows. I wanted to scream, to shake her, but instead I walked out. My heart pounded as I paced outside, my hands trembling. I realized in that moment, this wasn't just a broken marriage drama anymore. This was war. That night, lying awake, I thought about revenge. About what it would feel like to expose her lies, to watch her crumble the way she made me crumble. But a small voice inside me also whispered about forgiveness. About second chances. About whether love could survive betrayal and heartbreak. If you're still listening, don't forget to hit that like button. And comment below, would you forgive a cheating spouse, or would you make them face karma? The next day, I took matters further. I hired a private investigator. It felt dramatic, like something out of a movie, but I needed the truth, undeniable, irrefutable proof. Within a week, the PI delivered. Photos of Emily and Chris leaving a hotel together. Holding hands in the parking lot. Kissing in his car. Smiling, glowing, happy. Happy without me. Seeing those pictures was like a knife twisting in my chest. But at the same time, I felt vindicated. I wasn't crazy. I wasn't paranoid. I was right all along. I kept it to myself, though. I didn't confront her again, yet. Instead, I started planning my next move. I wanted her to feel the humiliation she'd made me feel. And then came the night of the charity gala. It was a big event for my company. Emily insisted on going with me, dressing in a sparkling gown, smiling for photos, playing the role of the perfect wife. But I knew the truth now, and every fake smile she gave burned me inside. Halfway through the evening, as we mingled with colleagues, Emily excused herself to powder her nose. My gut told me to follow. And sure enough, I saw her slip outside, phone pressed to her ear. "Yeah, I can't stay long. I'll make an excuse to leave early," she whispered. "I miss you too." She didn't know I was watching from the shadows. And in that moment, I made a decision. I wasn't going to just confront her. I was going to expose her. So I waited. I let her come back inside, acting like nothing happened. I smiled, I laughed, I played along. But inside, I was cold as ice. Because I had a plan. The next weekend, we had a family gathering at our house, my parents, her parents, siblings, cousins. A big, warm, happy scene. Perfect for what I was about to do. After dinner, as everyone sat in the living room, I stood up. My heart raced, but my voice was steady. "I want to share something important tonight. About my marriage." Emily looked up, confused. Her smile wavered. I pulled out my phone, connected it to the TV, and displayed the photos the PI had given me. Emily. With Chris. Kissing. Holding hands. Walking out of a hotel. Gasps filled the room. Her mother's hand flew to her mouth. My father shook his head. Her father looked like he might explode. Emily shot up from the couch, face pale as a ghost. "Daniel, what are you doing?" I looked her dead in the eye. "Showing everyone who you really are." The room was silent except for the heavy sound of my breathing. Emily stammered, tried to explain, but no one was listening. The evidence was undeniable. That was the moment the tables turned. The humiliation she once made me feel in front of strangers, I returned to her tenfold, in front of family, the people who mattered most. She stormed out, slamming the door, leaving behind a room full of shocked relatives. I stood there, chest heaving, feeling both powerful and broken at the same time. That night, Emily didn't come home. And for the first time in months, I slept peacefully. But here's the twist, karma wasn't finished with her yet. What happened next was something even I couldn't have predicted. Subscribe if you want to hear how this story unfolds, because the next part is where karma hit her hard. Part 3. When Emily stormed out that night, leaving the house full of stunned family members, I thought I'd reached the climax of my revenge. I had exposed her lies, ripped the mask off in front of the people whose opinions she valued most. But life has a way of adding its own twist of karma, and what came next wasn't even part of my plan. For a few days, Emily went silent. No calls, no texts, nothing. The house felt emptier than ever. Part of me missed her presence, her laughter, her footsteps echoing in the hallway, but another part of me felt lighter, like the poison was finally leaving my system. Then the whispers started. Friends, coworkers, even neighbors, they all began to hear about her affair. The photos I'd shown at the family gathering somehow made their way around. I didn't spread them, but people talk, and the story spread like wildfire. Emily's reputation began to crumble. At work, colleagues looked at her differently. She had always been seen as this polished, classy, loyal wife. Now she was the woman who cheated, who lied, who betrayed. And as for Chris, the man she risked our marriage for? He wasn't the knight in shining armor she imagined. He was married too. Yeah. Married. When his wife found out, thanks to the same photos, she filed for divorce immediately. And just like that, Chris pulled away from Emily, cutting ties, leaving her stranded. I found this out from mutual friends who couldn't wait to tell me how karma had already started to hit her hard. She lost her reputation, her lover, and soon, her job too. Her company let her go after unprofessional conduct became impossible to ignore. Meanwhile, I was still standing. But here's where the story takes another turn. A few weeks later, Emily showed up at our house. She looked nothing like the woman who once humiliated me at a party. Her hair was messy, her makeup smudged, her eyes swollen from crying. She stood at the door, trembling. "Daniel, please, can we talk?" I let her in, not because I wanted reconciliation, but because I wanted closure. We sat at the kitchen table, the same place we'd shared hundreds of meals, but this time the air was thick with pain. She broke down. "I'm so sorry. I made the biggest mistake of my life. I thought I was missing something, that Chris could give me what I didn't have. But he used me, Daniel. He never cared. And I lost everything." Her words were raw, desperate. She begged for forgiveness, for another chance. She promised she would change, that she'd do anything to rebuild what we had. And I'll be honest, part of me wanted to believe her. After all, this was the woman I once loved with everything I had. The woman I married, dreamed with, built a home with. My heart still ached for her, even after everything. But then I remembered the humiliation. The betrayal. The sleepless nights staring at the ceiling, wondering why I wasn't enough. The texts, the lies, the laughter she gave to another man. I looked her in the eye and said, "Emily, forgiveness is not the same as reconciliation. I can forgive you in time, for my own peace. But I'll never forget what you did. And I can't go back to being your husband." Her tears fell harder. She grabbed my hands, begged me to reconsider. But my mind was clear. I had been living in her storm for too long. Now, I was choosing peace. The divorce papers came a month later. She didn't fight much. She knew she had no ground to stand on. I kept the house, the car, and most of what we built together. She walked away with almost nothing but regret. And that, I realized, was the ultimate revenge. Not screaming. Not fighting. Not even exposing her. The real revenge on a cheating spouse is living well after they're gone. Months passed. Slowly, I rebuilt myself. I went to therapy, worked on my health, reconnected with friends I'd lost touch with. I rediscovered hobbies, passions, even started traveling again. And with every step forward, I felt stronger. Lighter. Free. As for Emily, I heard bits and pieces. She moved into a small apartment across town, struggled to find steady work, and eventually disappeared from most social circles. The woman who once stood tall in glamorous dresses was now a shadow of herself. That was karma. Not because I planned it, but because life has a way of giving people back what they put out into the world. Now, when I look back, I don't feel hatred anymore. I feel grateful. Grateful for the lesson. Grateful that I learned the difference between forgiveness and reconciliation. Grateful that betrayal didn't break me, it rebuilt me. If you're still here, Thank you for listening to my story. If you've ever faced betrayal and heartbreak, know this: you are stronger than you think. Don't let someone else's lies define your worth. So tell me, if you were in my shoes, would you have given her another chance, or walked away like I did? Comment below. I want to hear your thoughts. And don't forget, subscribe for more shocking real lifestyle stories. Because sometimes, the best revenge isn't what you do to others, it's the life you rebuild for yourself.